These are the two network simulators that I use the most, EvenG and PNET Lab. And EvenG was actually the one that I used during my CCIE preparation. And lately I've been using both at the same time. And there are a ton of reasons why I chose them, but simply the first one being that they're free to use. All you have to do is to download the application and install and then import the images so that you can deploy different topologies. They have an easy to use graphical user interface, so you can just drag and drop the devices and make the connections. And they support different vendors, so you can deploy not only Cisco images, but you can deploy as well Checkpoint, F5, Fortinet, Arista, A10, Linux, Windows, you name it. In this video, I'm going to show you how to download and install EvenG. The process is very similar to how you would do it on PNET. So by the end of this video, in case you want to install PNET, by following the same process like we're going to see for EvenG, you will be able to do as well for PNET Lab. Well, there are a couple of things that we need. An hypervisor, and we're going to use VMware Workstation. Then we're going to download EvenG and PNET, and then I'm going to show you how to import the images from the vendors. Now, I won't be able to share any of the images that I have. You can get it directly from those vendors because each vendor has its own requirements. Some of the vendors you can download for free, other vendors will require you to have a contract associated with your account, so it would just take forever to trying to demonstrate how to get the images from different vendors. Okay, so first we have to download VMware Workstation Player, and I'll share the link to download this in the video description, so just click on download the Workstation Player. The other software we're going to download is EvenG, and you just go to download now. And EvenG has two versions, so they have the community version, that's the free version, and they have the professional version or the paid version, and we're going to download the community version. So just click on free EVE community edition, and then you can choose one of the links available, so the one that will be faster or closer to you. Instead of downloading the ISO, that means that you would have to install, so just select one of these OVF files so that we can import into VMware Workstation. Now, to download PNET Lab, I'll also share the link to download this software. So you have here the step-by-step on what you should do to import this into VMware Workstation, and here you can find the links available to download this image as well. Okay, so I already downloaded this, so I'm just going to walk you through the process of installing VMware Workstation and importing EvenG. Okay, so let's begin installing VMware Player. Okay, we'll press yes. Okay, let's begin the installation process. Click on next, and that's going to be a very straightforward process. So just okay, let's keep it. Use default. Now I don't want to join. Now check for products at startup and just install. Okay, the installation is completed, so now we're going to click on finish, and we're going to open VMware Workstation. So now it's going to ask us for a license or whether we want to use it for non-commercial use. So we're going to leave as default, and we're going to continue, and let's click on finish. Okay, so this is VMware Workstation. So now we're going to import EvenG into VMware Workstation. When you download EvenG Community, it will come in zip format, so all you have to do is to extract all to the existing folder. So I already did this, so this is the file, and all we have to do is to double click on this OVF file so that we can import EVE Community into VMware Workstation. So we're going to set the name for this, and I'll just name it as demo and we're going to import. Okay, the import process is completed, so now let's take a look at the settings for this VM. So we can see we have the memory, processors, hard disk, network adapter. So all of this we can adjust. Just make sure that it doesn't take all the resources or more resources than your host. And for instance, on processors, make sure that the virtualization engine is enabled. So let's take a quick look at the network. So we want to leave it as default. For bridge, it means that the virtual machine, or in this case EVE-NG, will be in the same subnet as the host. Okay, so we want to cancel this and let's power on this VM. Okay, to log into EVE-NG, the credentials are root and the password is Eve. So let's type the username and the password Eve. Okay, so now we're going to type the password for root. So we're going to prepare the EVE-NG machine. So we're going to type the password and the host name. I'm just going to leave as default, and we're going to choose whether we want to use DHCP or static. So in this case, I'm just going to leave it as DHCP. As for NTP, we're going to leave as blank, and also we're going to allow direct connection. Okay, so now it's going to prepare the machine and it's going to reboot, and then we'll be able to log into the graphical user interface and start importing the images. Okay, EVE-NG is back and we can now log into the web page by going to the address that was assigned 192.168.43.106. So let me minimize this and let's bring the browser. Okay, so it is HTTP and 192.168.43.106. Okay, now the default credential to use the graphical user interface is admin. So if it's not, it should be admin Eve. So it looks like it didn't work. Okay, so it's admin Eve. Okay, this is what we have. So now we can start creating the topologies that we want. So we go to add new lab and we give it a name. So demo lab, the author, so CCIE 65745. And let's just save this and it's going to launch a new lab. So as you can see, we have all these workspace to build our topology. We can choose dark mode, and if we try to add a new node, so nodes are the objects or actually the images that we want to run, and if we try to add one, so these are the different images or nodes that EVE-NG supports. Okay, so right now it only has virtual PC, so now we have to import the images that we want to deploy in this lab. So to do that, we're going to download those images. I'm not going to show you where to download from, but we need the software to import those images. So let me bring WinSCP. So with WinSCP, we're going to log into EVE-NG and upload those images. So we're going to click on new site, and the file protocol, I'm going to select SCP, and the host name, that's going to be our EVE-NG IP address. So that's 192.168.43.106, and the username, now that's going to be the CLI access. So that's going to be root and EVE. So we're going to log in, okay, because this is kind of SSH into this machine. So we're going to confirm that, and we are inside our EVE community machine. Okay, before we import the images, there is one software that we have to install that will allow us to interact with the network devices, and that's the software client package. So if we go to EVNG website, so the Windows client side, so that's the package we want to download. So choose one of these links and just install. I already downloaded, so it's here. So EVNG Windows client, so we're going to install this. This is going to be a very straightforward process. So it is going to install different softwares that we need, one of them being VNC and the other one Wireshark. So this is VNC being installed. Just going to click on next, 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 and it's going to install. Okay, so we're going to continue, next, don't want to select that, and now we're going to install Wireshark. So click agree, next, 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 and install. Okay, installation is completed, so you can finish. Okay, and now let's continue with the import process. Okay, the next question might be, to which folder should we import the images? Well, this is actually well explained here on EVNG website. So if we go to documentation, how to create images, and we can choose the step-by-step guide according to the type of image we want to import. So for instance, if we want to deploy eyes as one of the nodes, so the folder name should follow this structure. So eyes, then the version and the build number. As for the file, well, depending on the type of file that you download, the version of that software, and also the number of resources or for CPU and RAM that you should adjust. Now, some of the nodes you can actually adjust to a lower number or a higher one in case you want to have a better performance. So it's up to you. In this case, all of these, they should be at a specific folder, but you can just follow the step-by-step according to the image you want to import. So in this case, we want to import, let's select VIOS, so that should go, oh, what have I done? Okay, I did something that I wasn't supposed to do. Okay, let's go back. Probably I did import, yes, so let's just import back. Okay, so I should import this into OPT, PNET Lab, add-ons, and Kimo. I'm just going to select these two files and drag and drop, and they will be imported into EVNG. Now, after importing into EVNG, now we have to fix the permissions for these images. So we're going to log into, actually I can use the prompt directly, but because I want to paste the command, so I'm just going to use SSH. So 192.168.43.106, yes, and the password EVE. Okay, so now if you go back to EVNG website, so the command should be here, fix permissions, yes. Just going to copy this and paste right here. Okay, it's completed. So now we can add those two nodes. So let's go to VIS router, and we have the router. So just going to add two routers. Okay, and one switch. So VIOS switch. Let's just add one switch. And this is where one of the limitations on EVNG Community Edition is if we power on these two nodes, okay, and I want to connect, it's impossible. So I'm not allowed to do so. Well, this only happens on Community Edition, the free edition. It doesn't happen on Professional Edition. So if I refresh this, you can see that I didn't create the connection. Now, this is one of the reasons why I've been using PNET. So let me bring PNET. So that should be 139. So actually, that's 140. Okay. Okay, so PNET, if we log into PNET, and let's suppose that we want to deploy a similar lab, so we're going to click here to create a new lab. Let's name it as demo and alter CCIE 65745, and let's just launch this. Okay, now it's very, very similar to what you might expect. And I'm just going to delete this. So you can see if I change this to dark mode, it's the same thing. So if we want to make connections on EV community, we have to power off the device. And so let's give it a second. So now we can make the connection. So between G00 and G01. Okay, so now I'm going to power on. Okay. Now, if we do the same thing on PNET, I'm going to add these nodes. Do I have the same one? So I have VIOS switch. I'm just going to use different ones. So Cisco IOL. So I'm going to add the router. So I have multiple images here. So I'm just going to add 2 routers and I'm going to add them. And I'm going to power on. And now I'm going to bring the switch. Just select the switch so I can change the icon. And switch, select, and that's just name to switch, save. And now I can connect whether it's powered on or it's powered off. Okay. And it's done. And also I can have multiple labs running. So if I close this lab, okay, I just closed that lab. I actually didn't stop the lab from running, and I can create another lab. So for instance, demo 2, and I'm going to add that. And so you can see this is a blank new topology, and I'm just going to leave this as white just to differentiate between 2. And here I'm just going to add a Fortinet device. Okay, let's power on. And if I want to go back to the other topology or the other lab, I can just close this one, okay, and go back to demo 1 and open. Okay, and it's still running. Okay, and we can do the same settings like we do on real devices. So let's click no. The switch we don't have to. Let's just so you can see the switch. Okay, so same configurations that we would we would deploy on a real switch. So no IP domain lookup, things like that. Spanning tree mode, spanning tree port fast, default. Okay, so all ports facing and endpoints will have port first enabled. So what about R2? So that should have the same prompt. And if you go to R1, so let's go. So that should be E00. Okay, IP address 192.168.111. Okay, so this is done. And let's change this to host 1. As for R2, okay, so E0, 192, let's place on the same subnet. It's enabled, and I use capital. Yes, I use capital 2. And I want to disable this CDP warning. and also on R1. And if I try to ping 192.168.1.1, so that's R1 IP address. What about R2? So that should work as well. So if we go back to the switch, you can see those MAC addresses on 0, 0, and 0, 1. As you add more images into these simulators, you'll be able to deploy more complex topologies, such as the one I'm going to show you. So in RC PT2, you'll be able to deploy a full-scale topology with multiple routers, multiple switches, Windows PCs. You can even, depending on the topology you're building, add different vendors such as Juniper, Linux, Palo Alto, or Fortinet. It will really depends on your imagination or the proof of concepts or lab or even track that you're studying and you need to deploy this type of labs. So I hope you found this video useful and I hope to see you in the next one.